it's about, like you just said, belief and conviction.
Okay.
So advice is that when building itself, build with something where you see the trades, you see the history of that system, you understand something like why it is working, why it may not be working, and spend some time in seeing the trades on the historical backtest chart, go through that trades.
Yeah.
So same way in algo trading or rule based, like you have some indicator to take an entry, then you have a stop loss rule, you have a rule of how much quantity you will put, when to get in, when to get out. If this happens, do this.
No, this is the most simplified definition of rule-based trading I have ever heard. Hi everyone, welcome to Dhan podcast. So today we have with us Mr. Vivek Gadodia, who is a rule-based trading expert and has been in markets for almost 20 years. So he has seen lots of changes in capital markets in India. So it's my pleasure to welcome Vivek. Thanks for making it to our office, and you have come at a right time when our entire office is geared up for Navratri celebration.
Oh, absolutely,
You can see my attire.
It is
it looks very contrasting.
Thank you for having me here, Jay, and it is
My
absolutely
pleasure.
amazing to see the vibrancy in the office.
That's right. So the markets are also vibrant now.
Markets, like as always, they are mysterious. As one of the legends, gurus, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala keeps saying, market is like women, you cannot predict, and when you think you have probably figured it out, you still become mysterious. So it has actually always been like that, and
That's
it
true.
continues.
Yeah. So Vivek, we'd like to understand your journey. So how you became rule-based trader, how did it all transpire?
Right. So actually, I started trading just like many people. Maybe I was in an IT company as a software engineer back then in 2002.
Okay.
And my friends around were applying in an IPO, which was like an initial public offering, and the company just goes public first time. And there was a company, Bank of Maharashtra, that time. Okay. So IPO was, I think, 32 rupees. So they said, Lal do. I said, like, they said 100 rupee ho jayega, to aap apply kar do. I applied. And that was like my first, say, word of investment from the salary, little bit of like what I used to make. And then I was working on a software for treasury or forex for one bank as part of my role as an engineer. And that's when I got a little exposed to the forex market, and it hooked me on. So I started trading equities, cash and all. Did okay actually, and then like everyone, I got into FNO in 2007. So lost money. बट उस समय कोई कैपिटल का वो नहीं होता था क्योंकि सैलरी अकाउंट था 3-in-1 so the money used to come in the account and going into the trading also there was no tab kept. And then I think I read this book, so after losing some of the money, not as much I couldn't bounce back or whatever, but it was like a hit to the like a challenge, like boss, why is it happening, right? And then I read quite a lot of books. Among that one book I read, which most of you have heard, is Market Wizards by Jack Schwager. So it is interviews with America's top traders. उसमें एक interview है Ed Seykota करके. There's one trader called Ed Seykota, who is an engineer from MIT, Massachusetts Institute, and an MBA. And he said in his interview that he gets 40-45% trade right and 55% wrong. So if like some brilliant people are getting it also wrong many portion of the time, that was a lesson that sub trade right nahi jane wala hai.
Correct.
That was a dawn, like a first thing that loss is going to be there. It's part of the game. And my problem was that I used to hold on to losers longer. And जब winner आता था, I used to book early. Right?
That's a very common thing.
That's a very common thing. But while trading manually, I just could not, not do that. It still happens. But when we make it rule based, we can actually do exactly the opposite. So basically, algo में when we have said कि ये होगा तो stop loss है, right? That is the point where we cut the trade like a loser, and when there is a winning trade, we let it run till it meets its target or destiny. The first time, it changed the picture from losing to say, converting into, I would not say losing, I was even breaking even as a whole, but converting into a winning sort of trader. So that was
Okay, that's interesting. But no, Vivek, just that I have a curiosity here, right? So when you make your rule-based trading systems and all initially, so what happens is ultimately it's made by humans, right? So somebody who comes tries to make certain systems, certain rules, right? So it's being governed by some kind of context. Say for example, 2020-21 mein market was one way, unidirectional. That time your system trading would show something else. So how important it is to review your rule based trading, your systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I started along with that
Yeah.
interview also, like I also saw some images of a person sitting on a beach with the laptop and the algo running, and was just sipping on the cola or whatever, and like it's printing money.
Okay.
I thought it's like that only. So when I made the algo in the initial 2-3 years of data we tested, it was actually a futures system, which luckily I met a CMT, a chartered market technician. His name is Ojas Shah. Back then in 2011-12, he had an idea like to build something on EMA, exponential moving average.
Correct.
Simple, very simple. And I had some coding background, so we took data from eSignal software. We loaded it up in Ninja Trader, which is a tool to backtest.
Yes.
And then we ran the backtest, and it showed profitability, and we were running it live also.
Okay.
And that's how we got started. But after 1.5-2 years where it did very well, then like what you said just happened, market became very choppy, and this was a trend following momentum breakout system. So it started getting into whipsaws or losses more than normal.
Yeah, obviously.
That's where then the learning aspect came in. That boss मैं rockstar नहीं हूँ. वो जो होता है. We are end of the day we have to keep learning, keep adapting, keep upgrading.
Correct. Yeah.
So I keep meeting or talking to traders, go to conferences, hear other traders and learn, and just try to maybe somewhere some idea comes which helps me to refine the method.
No, that's a very important insight, I would say, because for anybody who's listening to this, you should understand, if you get into a rule-based trading, it's very important for you to understand market context and also review your strategy from time to time. That's right?
Totally.
So now, Vivek, what we are seeing now is, there's a lot of craze for algo trading, rule-based trading, so जब आपने शुरू किया होगा, at that time, the access to data, access to information was really tough. So how you see the things changing now, is the access to information so easy, or you have to do some hard work of finding, finding signals from the noise kind of thing?
So the extent of information available now, and like say even backtesting platforms where we can backtest these ideas without knowing any coding also. And some basic ideas like moving average strategy, or say we want to sell a straddle at 920 and we want to put a stop loss of 50% on any leg of this option. तो ये चीज़ें अभी इतना सिंपल हो गया है because of the tools and platforms. तो उसका both I think advantage भी है, disadvantage भी है.
Right.
Advantage probably is one is you can get started very early, but two is that maybe at some point if probably a lot of people start doing it, then maybe it loses its edge also in some way. And then the Linda Rashke, this trader, says, right, I promise you, the moment you think you have found the key to the market will change its lock. Right? And that's exactly what happens, is that things change and we have to keep learning and keep upgrading from time to time. So that's and I think at the end of the day, we are as whatever kind of trader we categorize ourselves as, we are all risk managers. So our job is to manage risk, and like the moment if the algo is also behaving in a way which is different from the past, because that is the model we have backtested.
Correct.
Live will not necessarily be same. There are methods to say ki हाँ भाई, the backtest I've done is more or less robust and it may work, but still it's all about a probability.
Correct.
So then the only thing we can do is be proactive and manage risk, and before the damage, if at all is happening, we want to minimize.
True. So there is a dopamine effect, right? Actually, when you start trading. So
it looks like.
Vivek, that takes me to another interesting point here is as we have seen the craze coming on the algo system trading side, there is also a regulator's view on it, right? So what regulator is concerned about is, a retail investor who is new to market doesn't get, allured by someone, who promises return and all. So since you have spent so much time in rule-based trading on algo trading side, what's your view on that? Is it very right, fair, what the regulations are being, looked at?
Yes, one is that obviously, in spite of spending so many years, it is like every day there is a new learning. So it is a very, I would say, humbling experience at times, because market is constantly changing, and a lot of new, traders who are fairly young, but who are very well read or very tech savvy. They are picking up to algo trading very well and very fast as well. And that is probably also changing the things. But I think the good part about the regulatory side of the paper which has come out is that exactly what you said, like the problem of thinking of some guaranteed returns or assured return. Now, I think only thing certain is death and taxes, as we know it. And I mean, in market, if you're here, we are here. It is uncertainty is an element is going to be there. Unfortunately, what is happening is that after the reduction of margin in options, what earlier would take, say, a four-legged order, where we are, say, selling a straddle and buying a strangle to protect, which is like an iron fly. The margin which earlier used to be, say, 2 lakh has come down to 50,000.
Right.
Now, if we are showing return of 50,000 rupees on that, it will show 100%. Whereas actually it is, if we take it on 2 lakh, it is 25%. But if we run it just on the margin, the return will get exaggerated, which looks very good. We all want that. But at the same time, the risk is also going to get exaggerated, right? So if we are losing, say, 30,000 rupees at any point, which is like, say, the drawdown period, which can happen over a period of days, but it's the worst patch, say, we hit when we start. That is 30,000 or 50,000 is 60%, right? So how many of us can actually take a downside of 60% of our capital is the question. And it appears very easy, like, हाँ ये तो list में ले सकता हूँ. We have spoken to many people and traders, and we have seen that. But when it really happens, that is the time you realize whether, can I take this risk or no. And that's where I think it's very good to have realistic expectations about, this thing. Two is put only money which you think that you can kind of afford to lose. You can put at risk. Like, say, you're putting a strategy of 2 lakh rupee, where there's a 50,000 drawdown max, right? So that 50,000 is something you should be able to, if that loss happens, it should not affect your lifestyle. Ideally, that's the best way to make sure that there's no pressure on you to trade and things like that. So, according what the regulator is doing is good, but I think the only challenge is that which is facing is where if every individual algo requires an approval, which is something which is being considered. So, in my opinion, we have shared some feedback that just if we can get the order to be tagged in a way where when we are sending order as a API developer. So, Jay, I think that the risk management layer, which is where RMS as we call it, if that is monitored, then the main purpose I think is to ensure that the system is stable. And by algo trading, it's not that if I abuse the system, I put a lot of orders and I deny you service, for example, that is unfair. That is the regulator's primary concern. I'll give you one small example. Years back when we were doing an institutional algo approval for a client, somebody had put some 3.6 million modification orders in a very short span of time and had choked the whole system. And it was years back, there were not many players, so maybe this person was just able to do a lot of that. And it was probably in a mock simulator. It was not like in the live, but like in the sandbox kind of thing. But still, it showed what is the potentially harmful thing, right? That could bring down the entire trading system and deny others service, which is what is scary as a trader, right? And the regulator is super concerned about this not happening. So if the risk management is controlled, right, where there is, say, 50,000 margin in my account and I'm trading and I lost 10,000, now with 40,000 left, say the new order I need to place needs 50,000 margin and there's not enough margin.
Yeah.
The moment my algo is placing the order, it should reject, which happens today, like how in our trading terminal, if I go to
Correct.
Dhan app,
Yes.
I just put that same thing, the
Yeah.
app will reject.
Yes.
So if that is checked, then I think what strategy as an individual I'm doing and when I change it and all is something which should be sort of proprietary to me. Two is that it's very difficult to even continuously update that I'm changing something
Yeah.
as a trader. So that's what I think we could
Yeah.
take as feedback.
Great. So I'm sure you would have shared your feedback on the white paper which has
Yes,
come.
I did share to my, but I'm sure the regulators also have very experienced team of people now from different dimensions, and
Yes.
they're taking a lot of feedback from a lot of people in industry. So to my limited know-how, I put in some thoughts. A lot of others in the community have done, and we are all trying to build some good rules for everyone.
Yeah, so
that's the idea.
The healthier ecosystem will
Absolutely,
be
absolutely.
helpful for everyone in that case. So Vivek, now when you started, right? So at that time the leverage was rampant, right? So the only differentiating factor between one broker and another used to be the leverage. Now since the leverage is gone, for a rule-based trader or for a systems trader, how it has impacted positively or negatively?
So, small story I can share about the journey
sure.
when I started
Yes.
the systems with OJS, like I was saying, that future system. And then I changed a little, and then we were running it on. Now, when I think about it, I feel scared, but it was like some 6x leverage back then, right? And I had no idea because with a 10 lakh rupees, we were doing like
60
5,
lakhs,
6,
60 lakhs
exactly.
order, yeah.
And it appeared, what's the problem? Because margin is say 50-60,000 per lot, 5-6 lakh margin, I mean, I still have 3-4 lakh left. But we didn't realize actually one lot of future was say worth notional value 7-8 lakh rupees. Lot size into price.
Price, correct.
Right? And actually with 7-8 lot, we were trading risk point of view, we were exposed to 50-60 lakh. Like if something goes wrong against us, 5-10% gap down, then we are down 4-5 lakh, maybe 3 lakh.
Correct.
Which is 30-40% of capital, right? Like, but luckily, I think the discipline factor was very helpful to us because we used to run the system without any intervention. Like loss ho raha hai to loss ko dekho, profit ho raha hai to profit ko dekho. And it was a fortunately good period, so the capital got built up.
Correct.
We will, luckily nearly like a triple digit return in 3-4 months, and then again the next triple.
So that was in 2007.
2012-13 early part.
Okay.
I was even trading, we were trading currency futures and all that time on that USD. So I think the total leverage was pretty good and high.
Yeah.
Then what happened is we went through something called the drawdown, which I told you the phase where strategy was not working.
Yes.
And we got a drawdown of 50% from the gains only.
Okay.
Right? But two things. One is people who came new, they just really could not bear that, right? They just start and it's a drawdown, right? It's a little scary. And even the people who had made money, when they realized that, boss, if I'm down 50% at a point and I can make, but the first time it dawned on us that we can also lose with high leverage.
Yeah.
So over a period of time, we've become more modest and more respecting of risk.
Yeah.
Now in the new option strategies which we build, my goal is to have say drawdown of 7-8% with say return of 20-25%, 30%. And believe me, there are a ton of people who are very happy with this kind of thing. I mean, they want the volatility or that blood pressure thing to be lower.
So with experience, you become more realistic.
Yeah, like first we used to talk only about strategy, and now we talk only about risk and position size and all, and then strategy is a small aspect of what we talk.
That's true. Now, for the benefit of our listeners or viewers, if you have to explain to a layman what this rule-based trading is all about, how would you put it?
Yeah, so Jay, I think about have you made Maggie anytime?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you just say how you make Maggie?
There is a process,
Okay.
right? So you boil water, you put your masala, then you put your Maggi, and you allow it to cook for some time.
Right?
Okay.
It's a rule-based
Okay.
cooking, right?
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah,
and then Maggie is ready, and you.
Yeah.
So same way in algo trading or rule based, like you have some indicator to take an entry, then you have a stop loss rule, you have a rule of how much quantity you will put, when to get in, when to get out. If this happens, do this.
No, this is the most simplified definition of rule-based trading I have ever heard. But it looks simple while saying, right? But when you start implementing this, there's a lot of emotions which come into play. Now, even if you are a rule-based trader, maybe a beginner, right? So it becomes very natural for any human, right, to go and check his P&L. So P&L में दिखता है ना कि minus है, so then the rule doesn't remain as rule.
फिर होते चलो ये बंद करके नया system लो.
So what's your advice for those people? You have to trust your process, trust your system. How is it?
Yeah. So I've been guilty of this many times also. Like started something, drawdown आ रहा है तो jump from this system to the next and jump from. Always trying to find that holy grail system जहाँ loss ही नहीं हो, right? Then realize finally that it's about, like you just said, belief and conviction.
Okay.
So advice is that when building itself, build with something where you see the trades, you see the history of that system, you understand something like why it is working, why it may not be working, and spend some time in seeing the trades on the historical backtest chart, go through that trades. So you can feel the emotions of the trades in your test only. Like, look, here I lost so much. Is this suitable to me, sort of, or sort of get comfortable.
Okay.
And then you start slowly, right? You start with a paper, maybe just virtual for a while. Then you start with one lot, like a small amount. If you're trading in cash also, you can try with one share, two shares, just trade and see.
Okay.
And then it's like climbing a mountain, right? Like, do you climb 10,000 feet directly? No, you first go 5,000-6,000, you acclimatize, pause, get used to, and then climb again.
Yeah.
So just like that.
Okay. Great. So it's more like, making yourself conditioned to the environment,
Absolutely.
right?
And I think then the other way is, if you are giving, say, putting some allocation to some trader or some, strategy, right? Then leave it to that totally.
Okay.
So either you build your own or you, give it to someone.
Give it to someone.
So then don't do a mixture or khichdi of both.
Now, assuming that somebody wants to build his own, right? So how do someone does this back testing? Because it requires a lot of data, and are those things easily available today?
So thankfully a lot, yes, right? Like, so say there is some platform like algotrading where you can backtest option strategies. As we were just seeing in a matter of few minutes, you can say, like, when the 920 sell the straddle with the ATM and say put a stop loss in a target, say of 15% stop loss and a 50% target.
Yeah.
And say it's an intraday system, so by end of day it will get out. Right? And we can link this to, say, a Dhan broking account with the API or a bridge and execute automatically. Right? So there are some other brokers already, it's linked to Zerodha and others, and Dhan is, I think, coming on soon. But the idea is that with this, it's like, without knowing coding also, I can build a strategy and backtest on the platform and take it live in a matter of like few minutes kind of thing.
Correct.
But it sounds easy, but the difficult part actually then is sticking to it, monitoring it, checking the risk, and upgrading the rules time to time. And if you become lazy, then market will punish us. It's that's the real harsh reality.
Yeah, that's true. So, but one interesting insight you shared is that you don't need to be a coder, to become a rule-based trader. There are ample of tools available where you can use and do a backtesting.
So actually, when many traders I work with as a mentor or also like a consultant to build their algos, the first time when we start asking about what is your process, even for a non-coder, it is when they have to explain to a third-party person like me, like a developer, they have to write down their rules, right? And then they realize that actually there is a algorithm or rule which they are already following, but they might not know, right? And the coding process actually starts from writing down your rules itself, and then just converting into a computer language can be done by anyone else. You may not do that, but you are like, you start thinking like a programmer. That's the process.
That's interesting. Thank you, Vivek, for making it. It was a wonderful discussion. I am sure our listeners and viewers would get a lot of insights from this.
Thanks a lot for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to see the vibrancy all again with the Navratra festival going on, and hope people benefit out of this.
Yes, yes. I'm sure our listeners, viewers will have immense insights. They'll benefit a lot from this discussion. So it's been our pleasure, Vivek, that you could make it to our office. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.